Now tuning in to Earbud Media. Audio for everyone.
It's just so much all the time, and I love it.
That's just my icon is just how I feel all the time. Like it's a perfect representation of everything that's good in the world about me.
Yeah, I love it. It's perfect. It's
All right.
setting up for such a conversation.
Well, lucky for you, this conversation was already fading in while we were talking. So, hello, welcome to episode 17 of Strange Little People. Oh no, this is episode 18. Oh my god, I don't even know my own show. See, this is
You're officially legal now, so that's great.
my podcast is legal. Wow.
Wow. I guess you need to start voting, so.
Like I said, hello, welcome to episode 18. Anyone listening, you might realize that there's a different voice. It's not John here today. Well, John's also not here. I mean, are you the same person? I never seen you guys together in the same room, so who knows, really?
Yeah, I mean, I am John, if you weren't aware. I'm just kind of sick, or as you could probably tell, like, this is actually just my true voice. It's been a long con for the past 18 weeks, and this is my true form, is what I'm really trying to say. I guess also what I'm trying to say, since we're trying to have confessions here, is that Daniel and I are also siblings. And what I'm really trying to say by that is that, hi, my name is Allie, and I am part of Into the Twilight, and therefore that is how we are related.
Wow, what a perfect introduction right there.
Yeah, so Earbud Media is how we are family. It's great and perfect.
The big and beautiful Earbud Media family.
Yes, yeah, which makes us all part of a fantastic family where none of us have met. And if it all goes according to Cody's plan, we will never meet, is how I think it's going to go.
They never want to meet us?
Well, apparently not. Maybe Cody wants to meet all of you. Maybe it's just a personal thing for me. But that's just something that I need to deal with in therapy, so like it's fine. But yeah. So hi, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good. Do you wanna just lead this podcast for me? you got a very good lead right there. If you just want to just keep rolling with it.
No, it's just a personal alpha thing. But this is not my podcast. This is Strange Little People, and I'm just personally really happy to be here because this is one of my personal favorite podcasts. So
is it really? What about it makes it one of your favorites?
I come to this podcast every week to get my Star Wars news. Hashtag Daniel on Star Wars.
Oh, hashtag Star Wars.
I come here for the Vine recaps. I come here to get some video game news and to shit on PewDiePie. Mm-hmm. And talk about how I am not here for the racism in the video game community.
Of course.
Yes. And just some good boys.
Some good boys.
Yeah.
That's a new slogan. We're going to steal that from you and we're going to put it on everything.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm just really happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we finally could get you on the show. Sucks that John's not here, but I feel like if John was here, then he would also be very grateful for your presence here.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think there can really only be one of us. So, I mean, I think that it was yeah, there's only one John. And so I think it kind of worked out for the best.
All right, so before we do your interview, I want to just remind everybody who's listening to the show, first reminder, rate the show on Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating on the app or iTunes. Just, just say what you like about it. Help us get up on the charts, I guess. It's always a good feeling when you have a review on anything. Like, it's like, oh, somebody actually, like, considers this show to be, like, something good,
With the new iOS update, there's really no excuses. It's so easy to do. And I would really appreciate it if you can help support Strange Little People and Earbud Media by just helping support all of the good podcasts here on the network.
Can we talk about iOS 11 real quick? Your thoughts on it?
Please. Yes.
How do you feel about it?
There's been some reports that it's been draining the batteries quicker, which I have definitely noticed. I always forget, and I shouldn't because this happens like every year, that updating takes like 3 hours.
Really?
So I did like put it off. No, I mean it doesn't take like 3 hours. I think it took like.
It takes a while though.
It takes like 35 to 40 minutes or something.
Which feels like 3 hours, honestly.
It does. It does because when it depends on how you do it, right? And I don't know. I guess I can ask your personal opinion too. Do you download it on iTunes? And I guess it depends too. Do you have a laptop where you do it on iTunes first and then download it and install it on your phone, or do you just do it on your phone? Because it can feel longer depending on how you do that.
I just do it on my phone. It's easier.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like maybe it takes a while on a computer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
So maybe. Yeah. The only benefit I found with doing it on iTunes on my laptop is, one, I can make sure that my phone is backed up first in case anything happens. But also I can make sure that I'm still using my phone, so it feels like it goes a little bit faster, which I don't know that that's true.
Like for me, like that time, when you're like, okay, I have to do this thing. If I don't do it, then it's gonna be like say you gotta clean something, right? And you're like, I just gotta do it. So you just put your phone, you plug it into the wall, let it charge, let it update, and then by the time you come back from cleaning, it's done. You give your phone a little, let your phone take a little nap. Let it sleep.
Let it take a nap. Yes, I agree. This time I thankfully did it when I was taking a shower, and so I didn't even notice that it was happening, which was nice. The one thing though, as far as aesthetic changes, I do love the new control center. I like being able to customize it, which is nice.
I'm all for minimalistic stuff, but I just think the control center on iOS 11 is a little bit too much. I can't tell what any of the things are really.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean it can be a little extra. I definitely keep the last 4 icons as only 4. I know you can keep adding more, but that seemed a lot to me.
Yeah.
But I do like it, and I'm glad that they're bringing out more emojis soon. And the new release of the new iPhones later this year is something that I'm excited for because I need an upgrade really bad. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, technology is my favorite thing in the world. I love the feel of new technology. I love seeing it advance. So
me too.
I think iPhone X.
Yeah,
is
and
cool.
There's no way. Yeah, the iPhone 10 looks really good. There's no way that I'll ever switch from an iPhone, I think, unless something even then I can't imagine a world where I don't have an iPhone.
I was really considering getting a Google Pixel for a while, but then I thought about Apple Music and how I didn't realize that at the time, but Apple Music is actually on Androids. The next reminder I have for this weekly announcements. Don't forget to follow the show's Twitter at SLPPOD. We don't really tweet that much. I feel like it's mostly my fault because I made the Twitter. I have it all linked up in I have 4 Twitter accounts on the app. So
the struggle is real.
I forget to just go on it, but so we post episode announcements. So follow that Twitter account for when you want to know the show's out or if the show's not coming out. All that good stuff. And then the last thing.
It's always helpful, yes.
The last thing I want to remind people to do is join our Discord server. I think you joined it. You joined it right now, right?
What are you possibly talking about, Daniel? I don't know what you're talking about.
Somebody joined it.
I don't know what you could possibly be talking about.
Maybe. Interesting. But we haven't really done anything on there either. We have all these other services that we just don't utilize, but maybe we will someday.
All I'm saying is that you have a great Discord. It's fine.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's great.
So that's all for the announcements. Moving on to your interview now. We interview every guest we have on the show.
I'm so excited.
It's finally a time for you to talk about yourself for like half an hour. That's great.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that I've been doing online for over a decade. So
No, yeah,
please.
of course, of course. Your first question I have today is how we met or how we got to know each other. I think that's a very interesting story, maybe, possibly.
Daniel, I'm so glad that you asked this because I was gonna ask you the same thing.
So you don't know either.
So,
It's
yes,
definitely over Twitter.
no, I'm certain that it happened over Twitter. Yeah, that's a great question. And I love when this question happens with my online friends because I never know the answer. What I assume always happens is that my internet friends have kind of just always been there,
Uh huh.
and I've never really known a life without them, and that's kind of always just been my answer. Because trying to pinpoint like a specific mutual friend or like a specific, oh yeah, that was definitely the tweet that I liked first.
Mhm.
I definitely can't do. But yeah, I would love to know your answer because I don't know.
I'm gonna say it's through Mel. You know Mel, of course. Um,
Absolutely, I do.
you know,
Yes.
and then like, if anybody doesn't know Mel, who's listening, she's a good friend. Um, we're gonna have her on the show someday. But I think because of she, like years ago, I think, but not like a million years ago, but like a couple years ago, um, I found her, and then like she already had like both Emily's, and then like Cody was in there somehow, and then you.
Which
It's
one?
like she's like this like what would the word? She's like this a collector of just like internet people. I think we all just flocked to her.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I feel like that Mel is usually the pinpoint of my friends that I find online. And so she's like, well, obviously, you know so and so. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, of course I do. And so that's how I meet my online friends. And so I think that now that you mentioned that, I think that's actually exactly how it happened. Yeah.
And then of course
Um,
I've got to know more of you because of Into the Twilight, and then like also um just all the stuff you do online, I guess, you know.
probably more than you needed to know. Probably too much, I would say. Yeah.
I think that's for anybody who makes online content. You always know
Yeah.
too much, and
Yeah.
it's just like why do we share so much?
Yeah, Gemini problems for me personally. I can't stop talking for the most part. Yeah. That's okay though. I don't mind.
So we just met through the wonderfulness of online communication.
Friends. Yeah. Yeah, the squad.
The
It's
squad.
great. Mm-hmm.
Next question I want to ask you. I want just for anybody who's not aware of what you do on YouTube and stuff, I want you to just talk about it a little bit. Talking about disabilities on YouTube and FemTube. I want to just like give a rundown of what that is and why you do it. You know.
Yes, that's a great question. So, the content that I make online is primarily activism for underrepresented individuals. So, right now, the main focuses are for folks. Um, well, I guess there's two main components. There's disabilities on YouTube, which the name is kind of self-explanatory, but that's for anyone that identifies as having a disability. And then for FemTube, which is folks that are underrepresented online, whether that be um, like whether they identify as female or otherwise, but just underrepresented or marginalized online. The reason why I started doing that is, well, I identify as both female and disabled.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that when I started creating content online, those like different sections of the internet were not very well populated, I guess. And I wanted to start having conversations about them. And of course, for me, when I start having dialogues and conversations about things, it's like, well, I want to start doing things and having action plans. And instead of just like creating those things and then kind of giving them off to other people, I was like, well, I'll just do a thing. And so for me, that started becoming into the form of, conventions and workshops and panels and those kinds of things, which is what I am currently doing right now when I am not teaching and working in a graduate program,
I think that's
which is pretty cool.
I think that's a really great thing you're doing. Like I think it's really important to give
I think
voices to those
so.
communities, and I love your kind of presence that you have, especially at VidCon. I know you have you have a panel, right, for disabilities on YouTube?
Yeah, so at VidCon right now, the past couple years, there's been two panels and a workshop, and for those specifically, it's just been giving spaces and kind of amplifying the narratives that are already there, and making sure that the folks that attend those are aware that one, the community exists, and two, kind of becoming aware that there are issues and changes that need to happen in order to make those spaces more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not necessarily about me kind of going to these communities and telling them, like, hey, there's one kind of disability that exists and we need to make changes for that, but just kind of making sure that folks are aware that, disabilities come in a spectrum and there's a lot of different ways of understanding that, and making sure that those narratives are represented as much as possible in that kind of space.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty fun. I don't know. I like going to the spaces. I love having conversations and learning about other people. And so it's been really rewarding for me to not only have those panels, but especially kind of see the audience that's able to attend, not only physically in those spaces, but also digitally, and kind of understand more about those experiences and learn more every time that I do it.
I think that's really important, and it's really what's the word I'm looking for? It's like very it's very important. Like I said previously, I think it's a really good thing you're doing.
Yeah, I think that I would have never expected that the online presence that I started out with when I was younger would kind of become this, but also it kind of makes sense for me that this is kind of what I've always wanted, is that it's more activism based, it's more education based,
Mm-hmm.
and not just let me create these prank videos that have no lasting impact for
Right.
me kind of thing.
Well, I think your message is very clear when you do this, and I think um, it's really paying off. You think?
Why, thank you. I love that this is becoming an ego stroke kind of thing for me,
If
which is
if
great.
somebody wants to get more info on what you do, where can they find out more of the stuff? I guess.
Um, so the main place where a lot of folks post information is on Twitter. The Disabilities on YT hashtag on Twitter is a great place to start. But another place where you can always find information is at my website, which is intowildplaces.com. Got all the information on there.
And I will provide a link in the description for you to check. Anybody wants to check that out, it'll be
Well, thank
below
you.
or whatever. Moving on to the next question I want to ask you is so you have this kind of you have like you're doing a lot of things. You're a graduate student. You want to be a teacher, right?
Yes, yes.
And then you have these two wonderful kind of how would how would you describe it's like these like conversations that you have, and like these I don't know. I'm going with this. I'm sorry, but you have like these things, and then you have Into the Twilight, your podcast.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I wanna know why do a Twilight based podcast?
Yeah, well, it kind of fits into everything that I love, in an odd sort of way, which is, well, the Twilight Saga is literature,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that I'm going to be endorsed to teach is English language arts. And so that in itself is kind of perfect, because the Twilight Saga is young adult literature, which is fantastic. Even though the Twilight Saga, as we talk about in length and in this podcast, is not perfect and it's not great, but it's great. And um, Cody, my podcast host, they had never read this saga, and so it's new and it's literature, and we get to dissect this series in a way that's intersectional, which is incredibly important to me. Like that was a non-negotiable, I think, for the both of us, and making sure that this series is a problematic fave for mine. I always knew when I was reading it, like, oh, this makes me feel weird, and not like in a, hey, I'm 13 and having hormones, but like in a, this is like a gross kind of thing. And so I kind of love that I'm able to take this hour every week with Cody and just kind of dissect this thing and laugh so much and talk about it, and the kind of community that we've gotten out of it is just a really good space in a really shitty time of the world right now. So it's a really good bubble that we've been able to kind of plan right now.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said right now, that's your next slogan, really, for the podcast. A wonderful space in this kind of shitty book or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of has to be because of the fact that like the next series that we're reading is the spin-off of the Twilight Saga, which is 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh.
So, I mean, like we kind of have to try to make the best out of these things, right?
Right.
So,
So
yeah.
right at the moment that we're recording this podcast, did you guys finish Eclipse? You guys are moving on to Breaking Dawn?
Yes. So we are currently um we are going into chapters 5 and 6 of Breaking Dawn right
Wow.
now.
Yeah, I'm a little, to be honest, I'm a little behind on the podcast, but I know you guys are at least near the end or even after Eclipse, so um
Yes. Yeah, it's been a long road. The weird thing, and I guess it kind of goes with, time is a social construct, but also a testament to how wild a year it's been. But next month will have been a year of this podcast,
really.
which, yeah, I don't get it. It's odd to me because it simultaneously feels like it's been 2 episodes, but also like 3 years because it's just been a long road. But yeah, so that's kind of a wild adventure, I guess.
Wow. I mean, I can't suggest the podcast enough. Like it's hilarious, and I love that this kind of dynamic you and Cody have, where it's like you can tolerate the series, but Cody's kind of like this book is like crazy and it's like wild. Um,
Thank you. Yeah,
at least for really
it's a
comedic
great time.
moments.
Yes, yeah. I Every time that I can get to a point where I get Cody frustrated enough to just like yell and scream for a few minutes, makes me really happy.
And then also just like the fan fiction that you guys include at the end of every episode, that leads
Oh God.
that leads to very exciting moments. I think
There's been
very
a lot of
interesting.
that have changed me in the past year, like outside of the podcast
Hmm.
spectrum. Like there's been a lot of things in the current events spectrum that have changed me fundamentally in the past year. But one of the things that has changed me the most has been the fact that every week I have to find a fan fiction to read out loud. And the fact that my search history on my computer knows that every single week I have to like rifle through like 5 different ones to choose one that I think is like it's just so embarrassing. I've unfortunately learned too much about fan fiction for someone that didn't know anything about it a year ago.
Wow, that's like the I think that's one of like the many like kind of journeys you have to go through as a human being is just searching through fan fiction. I think that's a very crucial part of the human experience.
I think that it's really prepared me to become a teacher in a way that I would have never expected. And I don't know that that's really a good thing. But now I know a lot of terms that I don't know that I did a year ago.
I mean, well, at least you're learning.
Yeah,
It's not all for nothing.
yeah, yeah. I've really grown as a person, as a consumer of content.
But yeah, so if anybody listening wants to check out a podcast all about Twilight series, you can find Into the Twilight pretty much everywhere, right? Apple Music, I mean Apple
Yes.
Podcasts, SoundCloud. Um, it's all part of
Yeah,
the Earbud Media family.
yes. Yeah, we're everywhere. Just search Into the Twilight and you will find a whole bunch of Apple emojis.
You also run the Tumblr account for it, right?
Yes, I
And
do.
that's kind of like your personal scrapbook, kind of in a sense, right?
It's truly one of the most proud accomplishments that I've ever done in my whole life. The fact that that blog is chronological to where we are in the podcast is like I've never been prouder of anything, I would say.
Wow.
And Cody has no idea because Cody never goes on there. And so it truly is like my safe space.
Wow.
um, yeah, I don't think I could ever pay Cody to go on to that blog. So to be honest, like I could just be putting like ridiculous stuff on there all the time and they would never know.
um,
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
but yeah, great podcast. I highly recommend it to anybody who needs
Thank
some
you.
kind of humor in their week,
Yeah, yeah,
something to
it's
just
a good time.
completely like also just kind of like heavily sigh about, like that's how I feel.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Uh,
moving on to the next topic about this, also about vampires and werewolves. Um,
mm,
I don't know. Do you know the game Splatoon? Do you know about Splatoon?
I do. I do know about Splatoon vaguely.
All right, so
I haven't played it, but I do know about it.
every month they have a kind of like it's not really a tournament, but it's just kind of like a versus mode. You pick a side and then you play with that group of people, and then you kind of see whoever ranks up the most points in the game. And this month's
Yeah, they were doing the like French fries versus nuggets thing
exactly, yeah.
recently, right?
Uh huh.
Yeah.
And this month's for America is Team Vampire versus Team Werewolf.
Yes. Yes, it is. I
And
chose that. Like I made that happen, basically.
I want to know what side would you
Yeah.
what side would you pick?
Vampires.
For sure, vampires.
The problem is like, okay, so are we choosing these, are they like Twilight vampires and Twilight werewolves, or are they like the outside world Twilight, outside Twilight, like vampires and outside Twilight
I'm gonna
werewolves?
say it's just the general idea of these vampires and werewolves. Like it's not like when I think of vampires, I think of like Dracula. You know what I mean?
Oh, Daniel. I would still choose a vampire.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with Dracula. I don't know what you're trying to imply here. You
I
know, like
mean,
you ever
that's
seen Hotel Transylvania? You ever seen that movie?
I have. I have. Yes. Yeah, I would still choose a vampire. I would say, even though I don't really do the whole blood thing.
Right.
I would just, I like the idea of, like, I don't know, I like the idea of the clothes and the powers. I don't know, I like Twilight vampires.
The aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like
I
all.
like, yes, I do like the aesthetic. I still even, and I haven't even watched it, but I like Vampire Diaries vampires, and
Okay.
um
You like the sort of modern vampires.
I do like modern vampires. I still even like old school vampires because English major, so I do know a lot
Mhm.
about vampires. But here's the thing about werewolves.
Okay, go off.
I I don't like to kink shame people,
Okay.
but I don't
Wait.
I
What a great sentence to lead into this rant. I
I
like.
don't I don't furries are not,
Mhm.
listen.
Okay. Okay, go on.
No. Um yeah, no. And I don't like, all I can think about with this question is like, do I want to be a vampire or do I want to be a werewolf? And like, I don't want to be a werewolf because I don't want to shit in the woods.
Of course. But have you thought about the idea that vampires might also shit in the woods? I'm just saying,
I
like,
had not. But...
if vampires are also outsiders, outside monsters, creatures, they can't live in society. They have to do, what monsters do. So,
Daniel.
so there's that there's that observation for you.
I still don't want to be a furry.
Of course.
Yeah, I think I still want to be a vampire. What
And
about
then
you?
Okay, yeah, like I was here. I've been sitting listening to you talk about vampires so much, and here I am, your enemy. Here I am, Team Werewolf. So I just think werewolves are cool, man. They're like giant dogs.
They are cool.
These giant dogs, man.
Okay, so then question.
Okay.
Are you Team Jacob?
You know what? I'm Team Bella. I'm Team Ellis. Just on her own, doing her own thing.
Listen, I've never been more proud of you than I am in this moment.
Listen, I know a lot about Twilight. All right, my mom was obsessed with Twilight for like when it was at the height of its popularity. My mom was obsessed. So
now, hold on. Screw the rest of your questions. Tell me everything.
What do you want to know? What would you like to know?
I need you to elaborate on that sentence in totality, please.
My mom is obsessed. Well, not so much anymore, but she was obsessed with Twilight. She read all the books. She saw all the movies. She owns everything pretty much, and she loved Edward.
Now, when you mean your mom,
Mm-hmm.
do you mean you?
No, not me.
Right.
The only thing about Twilight that I can like appreciate is the New Moon soundtrack, because that soundtrack is the best soundtrack I've ever heard in my life.
They're all bops. They're all bops.
You got Death Cab on there. You got who else is on there? You got OK Go, I think, right? Shooting the movies on there.
I need to ask you an honest question.
Okay.
Do you want to get me started on this? Because this is your podcast.
Okay. If you can make it brief, that'd be good. Can you?
Because I can. The New Moon soundtrack, my dear Daniel, did not need to go as hard as it did.
It did.
But it did, because there was Likey Lee, there was Death Cab, The Killers, there was Muse, there was Saint Vincent and Bon Iver, like OK Go was on there.
Like if
Alexandria Taylor, like
if somebody asked you,
there was even Lupe Fiasco. So I mean, they hit all of it.
If somebody were to ask you like how can you describe like alternative music, just show them the New Moon soundtrack. And
show them the cover of the New Moon soundtrack.
Don't show them that. Just show them the playlist. Just make a Spotify playlist of all the songs and just send them that without the cover, and like, here you go.
Okay. Maybe a rose on the cover of it?
Sure. The apple.
No?
Oh, let's make the apple the cover.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I want to talk to you also about the apple scene. Just I think you guys talked about it before. Just like, why did you need to pick up the apple like that in the first movie?
For the drama, because Edward does everything extra because that's who he is.
He's too much. That's all I got to say about that.
Yes.
And I also vaguely remember seeing the first two movies as a younger Daniel.
As a child, yes. When they imprinted on your love map, yes, and they changed you irrecoverably. Yes, yeah, I understand. I also watched them as a young child, and they changed me.
It's not my fandom. That's all I gotta say about that. About Twilight. It's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, totally, same, right? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So moving away from Twilight as far as we can, but because this is turning into the Into the Twilight like after show. Like, I'm like Chris Hardwick in this sense, and I'm like, talk to me about Twilight and like a different show. Just talk about it. So let's move on to the next topic. It's still your interview. The question is, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but just if you want to go into more detail about this, what do you think is the importance of having an online presence? Like how important is it to have one, I guess, in a professional sense, maybe?
Yes, I am all about having an online presence. I think that it's absolutely crucial if you're able to access it, because I do think that there's definitely a privilege to it. But for me, like social media and having like an online existence are super valuable just because I think that the value of having a personal testimony and being able to express yourself the way that you want to are incredibly important.
Hmm.
You're able to craft what you want, and what you want to say and how you feel, without any other, like, I don't know, influence there. Um, and I mean, obviously, like you have other influences, right, from other people. Like nothing is new, but I do think that there's something to be said with like valuing tweets and blog posts, and like Facebook posts and things like that in the same way that we value like academic journals,
Hmm.
because of the fact that like not everybody is going to be able to have the access, to be able to get to the status of being able to publish things like that. And so for me, I value people's stories. And so for me, being able to engage with others online is incredibly important and something that I thoroughly enjoy. The past couple of years, obviously, it's trying. And so I do think that there's something to being able to check out and take time for yourself. But a lot of my friends are online. And so being able to engage in these spaces is something that I thoroughly enjoy doing.
Hmm. And do you feel that people with a very large online presence, do you feel that, of course, they have a responsibility to what they say? Like they have a, like they will have consequences. They need to be like responsible with their, with their audience. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
throwing it back to PewDiePie, obviously, like,
Yeah.
despite his
Yeah, I
like,
think so.
despite his persona of like, kind of being a little bit edgy and kind of like having that kind of humor, he definitely needs to like check his audience and like know what he like how popular he is in terms of like what he represents as a whole. Like he represents, like, even if you don't agree, or if nobody agrees really, he represents like pretty much all of like the video gaming community on YouTube, like the commentaries side people.
Mhm.
And it's just like, how can you be so irresponsible as if to like, you know, to slip up like that, I guess. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely something to be said about having an audience and making sure that you respect that.
Mhm.
I do think that when you have a large audience, I do think that that puts a lot of pressure on people. And I think that it's important to kind of honor that. So I know that for a lot of creators, that can kind of force them to create kind of a different persona when they're online.
Mhm.
Um, but especially now when a lot of individuals kind of look up to these like celebrities or internet personas, whatever you would like to call them,
Mhm.
um, it's important to make sure that we're taking the time to, put good out into the world. And that doesn't mean kind of like faking it. Like, I think that it's important to kind of honor our emotions. But if all that we're kind of putting out into the world is, um, like racism or
Mhm.
even just like negativity, I think that that's something that is going to impact the following that you have, especially if that following is younger. Um, and the research that I've done, especially in my graduate program, these younger adolescents, their brain development is still obviously developing. And so they're looking up to these people with higher reverence than they are the guardians that they have in their personal communities.
Mhm.
And so it's something that needs to be respected. When you take to Twitter and you say like, just something really flippant.
Right. It's it's a problem. That's
Yeah,
really.
yeah. And I mean, I think that there's like if you've got enough of a following that you have a management team, then have your management team set you up with like a social media class or something like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
those are things that actual like movie stars and celebrities do before they go on those like press junket tours or something. Like that's a thing that like happens. So it's just being aware of, the fact that we have access to following now, and that the things that we say are not like, we can't just do like no take backs, like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
just um and yes, people make mistakes, and yes, you can say things and maybe not mean them, but it's a lot harder now to get connotations across, especially on the internet. And so it's just being, intentional with the things that you communicate.
Right. I think you made some very good arguments here today. Some very good points you
Thank
addressed.
you.
You're a very great public speaker. Or you, I don't know,
I
public
try my
speaker,
best.
but you really know how to get your point across.
Thank you. I try. I do want to mention though, with like the actual public speak, like with the
Mm-hmm.
the Twitter and stuff too. Like I also like a lot of stuff that on Twitter. Like I don't want to discourage memes and
Right, of
stuff.
course, yeah.
Like there's a definitely a point between like having fun on the internet and encouraging your younger following to be racist. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely a line there.
Of
So
course.
just be safe and be respectful and be kind to each other, I guess.
And this has been
So.
internet police. Just the safeties of the safeties of online presence.
Yes, exactly.
Last question for this interview. It's a question that me and John ask every single guest we have. You probably heard it before.
Yes.
I don't know if you're prepared for this question, if you already know, but of course, whatever first thing that pops into your head, you gotta say it. You just
Yep.
gotta first answer. What is the best race? You gotta you gotta
um,
just you gotta just say it. What's the best race?
yeah, polar bears.
Polar bears.
Yeah.
But are they a species or are they a race?
I, it's my final answer.
Okay, I mean it's good. We haven't had uh we haven't had a animal answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a very
Yeah,
good
I wanted
change.
to go with something. I intentionally didn't prepare for this one. Like I knew it was coming, but I
Mhm.
intentionally didn't prepare for it.
Of course.
So I kind of just wanted to like let it, free fall.
Of course. Polar bears.
So that's where I'm at.
Polar bears.
Yeah.
Would you say polar bears are your favorite bears?
No.
Why? Why? Oh,
No,
wait, hold on.
my
No, wait, hold on. I'm having hold on. I'm so sorry, but like right now I'm looking at Skype right now and I just got an ad for polar bears. They're listening, Ellie.
yeah,
They're listening.
you know how I feel about the NSA, Daniel, so please don't start this right now.
I just got, what the fuck? We're suing Trump to protect the Arctic. Donate now. Oh my
You
god.
know how I feel about Tom, Daniel, and you know how I feel about the fact that he's always listening. So please don't, please
Okay.
don't do this to me right now.
Favorite bears? It's not polar bears then.
No,
Do you have a favorite bear?
yeah, my favorite bear is the one from that Vine where he jumps into the water. And the guy freaks out and thinks that he's dead, and then he jumps. That is particularly my favorite bear.
What you didn't know is that the guy who screams out for him is me. I made that vine.
Well, then I guess you're my favorite bear?
Wow. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My favorite bear, if you want to know, I don't know if you want us to know this, but my favorite bear is a I like panda bears. They're cool.
Oh, that's a
They
great choice.
they just sit around and eat,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah, I
protected
love that. That's
by
a great choice.
they're protected by China, so it's like that's cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love a
Uh,
red panda bear. So,
I don't know about that.
oh, great. Our last topic is something that we're divided on.
I
Yeah,
just
that seems about right, actually.
I like all bears, so that's where I lead on this.
Hmm.
That's where I end on this topic.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
Well,
thank you for this interview that we just finished right now. Really great points.
that's,
If anybody wants to go back and listen to the interview again, just keep doing that over and over. That's cool.
yeah, I mean, and if you start to see polar bears around, like, you're welcome, I guess. So.
I hope that when you're listening to this, you see an ad for polar bear because that'd be fucking scary. Anyway, moving on to the next topics. I want to just ask you, like, before I go into the topics I wrote down, because I don't usually me and John discuss like what's going on in our lives. What's going on in your life that you want to talk about?
Well,
What's going on in your strange little world?
my strange little world. Well, currently in my strange little world, I am pet sitting two small dogs and two fat chunks, which are what I call cats. And
Okay.
I I am watching coverage of CNN because apparently in this strange little world that I'm describing, I am 52. So, yeah, and I'm avoiding doing homework. What
I
about
mean,
you?
that's good. Today, like, what's just going on today? I woke up super. I slept in super late. Like, I'm like, cause I started school like last week, right? I'm
Ooh,
officially a college
it's
student, so
proud of you.
we'll see how long that lasts. But first week was fine. I'm not like I'm not home anymore. Like, I'm gone all day,
Yeah,
which is problematic for me, because I like to be home and asleep. So
yeah.
this weekend I finally am able to sleep in. I don't have homework yet, but I'm gonna be hit with it like probably like tomorrow, so we'll see. But today I'm supposed to be doing laundry. Haven't done that yet. So
Yeah, that sounds about right.
my life is just a series of procrastination. Like, it's just constant. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm chilling.
that's good.
Um,
Sounds like a typical Sunday.
yeah. So the first topic I want to go on to about like something that happened to me that I'm really like upset about. Because it's like you'll understand. Hopefully you'll understand. But I missed out on two really great concerts this week, and I'm really mad.
Okay, yes, let's do
I'm
this.
mad.
Tell me.
So um, Gorillas and Young the Giant,
Ooh,
they were both playing. They
ooh,
were both playing like nearby me, and I didn't go to either of them, and I'm really upset.
that's horrible. I'm really sorry.
But I was supposed to
I,
see Young the Giant in August, and then they moved the date to yesterday or whatever. They moved it like a month later, and I just couldn't go because I was like on a Thursday night, and I was like, I can't do that shit.
a Thursday night concert. Who does a Thirsty Thursday concert anymore?
I don't
Like,
know.
I'm too old for that.
Well, I
That's
mean,
not
I've
good.
I've been to a couple of weekday shows, but that's like during the summer or like when I didn't have like college. So it's like,
Right.
but now that I do, I'm like I have to be at school like at fucking 11 o'clock the next day. Like I can't do that.
Right. Yeah,
But I'm also
exactly.
like I go to school super late, so my first class on most days isn't until 12. So
Wow.
I could have made it, but it's just
That's a good sign.
the traffic to the drive wasn't it. Oh, I can't.
Now, here's another thing. So you live in the hellhole that is southern-ish California.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry.
You're sorry.
Because, yeah, because I always complain about traffic
Mhm.
here. And then I remember that I live in a place where, like, our traffic is like nothing.
Mhm.
And so I'm sorry, is all I have to say.
It's just LA traffic. That's the only problem. Like where I live, I can like get anywhere in an hour, like anywhere like near LA in an hour. But it's just like I don't know. It just depends on the time of the day, honestly.
Oof,
Like if I wanted to go to
it's
LA right
awful.
now, if I wanted to go to LA right now, I could take a train there. I could take the Metrolink there, and that'd be fine. That'd be an hour train ride.
Mm,
But like
no.
if I was to drive there right now, I don't know. That might be bad.
Get there tomorrow. Yeah, hard pass.
But yeah,
No
I'm just
thanks.
really upset that I missed the concerts because Young the Giant is like one of my favorite bands, and I wanted to see him live.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I love a good concert, so that's
What was the last
really
concert?
rough. I'm
What
sorry.
was the last concert you went to?
The last concert that I went to was in June at VidCon,
Okay.
and the next concert that I'm going to is the day before Halloween. So in like 2, 3-ish weeks.
Who are you gonna see?
It's this rock band called Need to Breathe that I love. So they're playing here in Portland.
Okay.
Yeah.
My last concert was like, I don't know, like it was last year.
Yeah.
Who did I
I
see?
usually try to go to them fairly often. It's just been this year has been weird and there haven't been a lot of good ones around here, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I went to go. I think the last
Sorry,
concert I
it's
went to was, last concert was Tudor Cinema Club. I saw them.
Ooh,
They were great.
I love this.
But that was like a year ago, and I was supposed to go to two this year. Didn't go to either. And then I want to go see Lord next year, but her show's at the Staples Center, and like those
Oh,
tickets are bad.
yeah.
Ugh. But
Oh,
I also just hate big venues as a whole.
me too. Yeah.
Like my favorite theater in LA, like it's like perfect. So that's why I see a lot of bands that come to LA. It's at that theater. But
Yay, Lord.
enough about concerts. It's just like whatever. I'm just salty that I missed out on both of those concerts. Like Young the Giant did stream one of their concerts on Twitter like last weekend, so
That's always.
I got to see some of that. Dude, have you seen like when Twitter and like Golden Voice like they stream concerts on Twitter? Have you seen that?
I have. And didn't Chance just stream one too?
Yeah, he did
It was like
he streamed his LA show.
yes. Oh, bless.
But it's
Bless
just
Chance.
what kind of world do we live in where we can stream a concert? That's what I want
I
to do.
don't know why they haven't been doing that because that and like Broadway shows, are you kidding me? I need
Yeah.
that in my life.
Well, I think Broadway shows are a little different. Those are like actors' rights and stuff. Well,
But like
to do with actors, but
concert.
concerts. I mean, I don't know, but like that's great. Moving on to the next topic. I want to talk about Inktober. Do you know about Inktober?
Yes, I do.
It's it's my
I love
favorite time. It's one of my many favorite times of the year. I'd say.
it's when I realize how talented everyone I know around me is, and I'm like, oh, crap.
It's when I find new artists to follow. I see all these
Yes.
people reblogging stuff, and I'm like, I have to follow them now.
Do you know how it started?
No.
Great.
I think somebody was just like, we'll just draw for 31 days. And everyone was like, okay, I'm cool.
Yeah, I don't know how it started either, but I I love it and it's amazing.
If I
And I wish that I could draw.
Same, I wish I could
Yes.
contribute a little bit. But
Yes. Yeah, me too.
I just love seeing all the art. It's the best thing.
Me too. Yeah, it's perfect. It looks like, oh, shout out to the dogs. Mr. Jake Parker started Inktober.
Are you researching it
In,
right now?
yes, in
Okay.
2009.
2009.
Yep.
Did it say how? Like why?
Um, no.
It's just putting a face to the movement is that guy.
It was a challenge to improve their writing skills and develop positive drawing habits. And now it's something that's just grown worldwide. So that's cool.
That's great.
And yeah,
I'm here for that.
me too. I think that it's fantastic. So thanks, Jake Parker. Probably not related to Warby Parker. Hashtag not fun.
This is a topic that John. I asked John, even though he's not here, I asked him if he has any topics he wants us to talk about. So
Oh, Daniel, I'm here.
this one's for John. Oh, right. I'm sorry, John.
Yeah,
You suggested this, John.
thank you.
You wanted to talk about Wolfenstein 2, the
I
video game,
did.
the
How
video
did you
game.
know that?
Because I asked you,
Yep,
and then you said
that was.
because you said it.
I'm so glad that you could introduce this for me because I definitely did want to talk about it.
Right.
Since I introduced it, do you want to go ahead and start it?
Yeah. Wolfenstein 2, it's a video game coming out soon. It's basically you just go around killing Nazis, and it's like
Yeah.
that's the game. And people are getting upset. They're saying how much the game is anti-Nazi, and you just kind of have to be like, what? Something can be anti-Nazi? Like what the fuck? Like, of course it is. Like everything should
Yeah.
be anti-Nazi. And
Right,
I
yeah. Good
just
old Bethany Esda is creating this
oh my
fantastic
god.
Nazi killing video game.
I forgot that Bethany Esda
Uh,
is like a Adventure Zone thing and not like just my friend who keeps saying that. like like you said that and I was like, Haley, is that you? And then I was
like literally when Justin said that in a Monster Factory, I was like, "Yep, I'm saying Bethany Esda for the rest of my life." Thank you. But yes, so I'm definitely looking forward to when it comes out later this month. Um, I am not good at FPSs, so I don't know that I will play it, but I'm looking forward to all of the reviews about it. Um,
I
and all the
just
playthroughs. But
I just don't understand the
I think,
controversy happening right now, where people are like saying, people are getting upset. People are saying how much anti-Nazi it is. Like they're upset about that, and
oh, well, yeah, of course.
it's just like I can't believe it. We were talking about at my media and cultural studies class in one of the lectures. We were watching the Vice News, the Charlottesville thing, right?
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
and it's just like there's been this uprising of like people being like people are like, well, because for since World War II, everyone should be like, like Nazis are bad, they're bad people, bad guys, bad
Right.
dudes. And then in the year of our Lord 2017, people are now saying like, you know what, neo-Nazis are in, that's what's cool now. And it's like, no, stop.
No,
I just
no.
I just what kind of world where somebody could be like, "Hey, man, this game shouldn't be this game shouldn't be against Nazis," and it's like, "What do you mean it shouldn't? Like, what does that mean?"
Yeah. I think that I don't know. On the one hand, it's like, well, I guess it's also important to mention that like the the marches in Charlottesville like happened again yesterday, which like what the like this is still happening.
Uh huh.
But yeah, so this video game is weird, right? Because all of the promotions for Wolfenstein have been like, make America neo-Nazi free again or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, which like on the one hand, right, like good marketing because like they're taking all these slogans and kind of like twisting them on their head, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, it's like I also don't want to see swastikas, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but if there's anything that can like help promote the image of like we don't stand for this, it's good. Um, I guess it's just kind of I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of interested if like the image in this video game kind of looks like it's gonna be kind of like traditional and not like in the modern day. And
Mhm.
what we're dealing with right now is like we have literal like we have Nazis right now, you know, but it's not like all video games are set in the present time, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
I just I just think that video games, just like movies and art and like music, you can make political statements in video games. Like I think that's for
oh yeah,
sure. You can for
totally.
sure do that. And it's like people who are like, keep political stuff out of my video games. It's like, well, it's art still. So
Yeah, there's nothing that can be like
everything
it has to be political. Yeah.
everything is political. That's just the world of
Right.
artists.
Right.
Um. So yeah, I hope that John, I hope that you liked what we talked about this topic. I hope that we did it justice for you.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought up this Bethesda game that I really wanted to talk about, so thank you.
Of course, John. Um, so moving on to the next topics. I want to talk about not what happened, but like what's been like talked about at New York City Comic Con, which happened
Yes.
this weekend. Um,
Yes.
what do you know? What do you want to talk about it? Do you have anything you want to say?
Well, I know that it's kind of been brought up in tandem with the kind of cosplay conversation for like cosplayers of color, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought was an important conversation to happen. But I don't know, was there anything in particular that you wanted to talk about? Any newsworthy stuff?
Yeah, I was basically gonna like recap like the important trailers that they showed off. Like, just important to me.
Yes, yes, yes.
I don't know how important this is to anybody else, but this is what I like to talk about. So, um, first thing they showed off is they finally put out a full length trailer. Well, it's still not full length. It's still a teaser trailer for Runaways, It's Marvel's newish TV show. It's going to be on Hulu.
Yep.
Do you know about it?
I know that it exists. I haven't watched the trailer yet. No.
Well, basically, the concept behind the show and the comic series is that these kids find out their parents are villains and they're part of a cult, and so they run away.
Dun dun dun. Yes.
And it looks
Good.
it looks like a really good show. I heard that the first few episodes that the reviewers got to see, they loved it. That it's really faithful to the comics, and the comics are fantastic too. So, I'm just really excited to watch it. It's just
Good. Yes.
I just love it. And I'm also just a big sucker
Yeah, there was
for
a lot of stuff that seemed like it dropped this past weekend there. So
I'm just a big sucker for more stuff in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love cinematic universes of anything. So.
yes. Yes.
Speaking of
That
Marvel,
seems like
we have Agents of Shield season 5 is premiering December 1st. Have you ever seen Agents of Shield?
I have seen a couple of episodes. Yes. I don't know why I haven't watched all of it because it's very like in my wheelhouse. It's just that I've watched a couple of shows beforehand. But I love it. Yes.
I started watching it.
I saw photos
I started watching it just for Ghost Rider because he was going to be in season 4.
Good.
And then I watched from season 1 all the way up. I caught up, and I'm really excited for season 5 to see where it goes. I don't want to. Should I spoil it for everybody here? What happens in season 4? I'm gonna say no.
Oh,
but,
okay. I was gonna say yes. So
you want to know? Do you want to know? It's just I was just
I'm
to say
not
where
a
it
big
ends up.
spoiler person, so
You like spoilers? You like hearing them?
Spoilers for me are not like a big deal. They're not something that has ever really bothered me because by the time that I get to a show, I'm so immersed in it that I forget what the spoiler was. And so it's really never a big deal for me.
All I'm gonna say for Agents of Shield season 5 is that they're in a completely different area, different. They're not on Earth anymore. But I'm just trying to say, and so I'm excited to see what happens with that. See how that ties into the next Avengers movie. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ooh, that's exciting.
And I just want to know if they're gonna bring Ghost Rider back because I'm mad that he's not. Because okay, spoiler alert for Agents of Shield season 4. Skip like 2 minutes ahead if you want to not be spoiled. But at the end of season 4, basically Ghost Rider went to another dimension, and then he just disappeared. And then they didn't say like if he's ever gonna come back.
What?
They didn't say if he's ever.
That's
well,
wild.
they had to get rid of some like book that was like that turned the robot evil. It's a long arc in the season. But he took the book and just like disposed of it in another dimension, and then he's there now. And so I don't know. I don't know. I don't want them to waste his character because Robbie Reyes in the MCU is like fantastic. I can go on and on about Ghost Rider in season 4. He's great. I just want him to come back. I need him back.
Understandable. Yes.
It's just I'm excited for season 5 of Agents of Shield. That's all I gotta say for that.
Okay.
Next trailer they showed off, Pacific Rim Uprising.
Yes, it seemed like you had a lot of feelings about this.
I love it. I love John Boyega.
Yes, and as you should, as everybody should. Yes.
John Boyega is just a good person. He's just a nice boy.
He's a good boy. Yes. Yeah, he's a good soft boy.
And I liked the first Pacific Rim. I thought it was a really cool like movie.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I saw it super late though.
So like, don't hate me. I haven't seen it. There's no particular reason why. I just definitely like missed the train when that happened.
Of course, yeah.
And I just have never watched it. So this will give me a good reason to.
I never saw the first one until like like this year. I think I was at someone's house and they were like, "You want to watch the movie?" And I was like, "Okay." So I barely saw it for the first time this year too. So
okay, good.
The more John Boyega in the world, the better I'll be. So that's all.
Agreed. Yes.
And
confirmed.
the trailer looks awesome. I love everything about the trailer. I'll also just say anybody listening, all the trailers links will be in the description below, so you can watch them too and know what we're talking about. And then the last trailer that they showed off this weekend, was for Justice League.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I
Yes,
I
it was.
I don't know if I care about it that much. I never saw Batman vs Superman, so I don't know what's
I didn't
happening.
either.
I don't know what's happening in the DCEU, so I don't know what's going on. But I loved
So
Wonder
here's
Woman.
the thing. Yeah, same. Didn't you? You didn't see it though,
See
right?
Wonder.
Did you end up? You ended up seeing it though,
Yeah, I saw Wonder Woman.
right? Okay, yeah, you ended up seeing it. Yeah, all I care about is Wonder Woman.
Hmm.
Um, Superman is one of my favorites. Um, the new the new Superman is like okay. Basically, the only Superman that I ever care about is like Smallville. But
Okay.
Wonder Woman is basically all I care about
I'm also
in
really
this.
excited
So
for
I watched it.
I'm excited for Aquaman too. I think he's really hot.
Okay, yes, yeah, same.
And then
I watched it, and
Ezra Miller as Flash is like that's cool. I think that's really cool
yeah,
casting.
yeah, Ezra Miller and as Flash, and then Aquaman and Wonder Woman are basically all I care about.
That's all.
It's just like,
That's
yep,
all. That,
that's my squad right there.
that's what's gonna sell me on a movie ticket is those three in a movie.
Yep, exactly.
Um,
Yep.
but yeah, so I think that's it for this episode of of Stranger People. I don't have any more.
Ah,
I don't have any more topics on my list. Oh, actually, you know what? I do have one.
oh,
Let
okay.
me add this real quick. I originally wasn't gonna have a Star Wars news update, but we can talk about this even though it comes out tomorrow. But by the time you listen to this podcast, it'll already be out. The newest trailer will already be out.
The
So
trailer. Yep.
this seems a little bit dated as this episode, but I want to just what is the prediction on like one scene that they're gonna have in there? What do you think? What do you want to predict right now?
Is it safe to say a lens flare? It's probably going to be safe to say a lens flare, right?
Maybe, maybe.
Or just like a, or like a boom, like a, like, can I just say that? Is that like safe? That's probably safe, right? I can't be wrong.
Yeah. I think that's
Just like a soft sonic boom.
I think you've seen the trailer already. I think you're telling me
And
what's in
right,
there.
like, what I'm trying to say is that I made the trailer.
What you're saying is that you made the Last Jedi, and you don't want to give me a recommendation to make another Star Wars movie, which is fine. It's fine. I'll just keep
Right.
I'll just keep
Yeah,
trying.
exactly.
Hashtag Daniel for Star Wars, but we'll see.
Yes. The other thing that I'm surprised that you didn't bring up on here is the rumor that they're recasting Johnny Depp for Fantastic Beasts. So,
I did not know about that. Do you want to talk about that?
well, it's just a rumor that's been going around for the past couple days that for the second Fantastic Beasts movie that's coming out,
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to be recasting Johnny Depp's character in that. And if so, I'm incredibly happy because Johnny Depp is trash. So I
Right.
would love, and that would make me very happy. Because we only saw a brief little bit of him in the first Fantastic Beasts movie.
Uh huh.
And so, but he's supposed to be like in the whole movie in
Yeah.
this next one.
He's Grindelwald. Like he's like a big guy. He's a big character in this new
Exactly.
series. If they recast him, I wouldn't really care because I don't care about Johnny Depp
That's
anymore.
fair.
So I
Yeah,
wouldn't
it
feel
would just
anything.
be nice not to see his face in the whole thing because
Right.
trash.
And it's like for the new movie coming out, the Murder on the Orient Express. Like
Yeah.
I want to see that just because of all the cast in it, but then I see Johnny Depp there and I'm like, is it worth it?
Mm,
Is it worth it?
right.
But since you brought up the second Fantastic Beasts movie, apparently Jessica Williams was casted in it.
Holy crap.
If anybody doesn't know Jessica Williams, she's co-host of Two Dope Queens, and she was in a Netflix movie, Jessica James, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But apparently she's gonna be casted in the sequel, so we'll see her in it, I guess.
I mean, it makes sense because of the fact that her and J.K. Rowling are like BFFs.
Right.
So, I mean, it only makes sense. So,
It was only a matter of time.
yes.
I want to
Yeah.
know since you brought this up now, I want to know what you thought about Fantastic Beasts and like that whole like where you want this new like series to go, I guess. Because I love Fantastic Beasts. The first movie was like amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. Um, it was it was very emotional for me to watch just because it was a new Harry Potter movie
Hmm.
and that hasn't happened in so long.
Yeah.
I loved Ezra Miller in it. I thought that his portrayal of Credence it was amazing and it made me very, very emotional. I did love Eddie Redmayne in it. I thought that he brought a lot to Newt Scamander.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know, like Queenie made me really happy. Like Colin Farrell in that, like I didn't expect to enjoy his character as much as I did. So I don't. It was just a joy for me to watch. I expected there to be, a lot more beasts. Like I think that was kind of like a common feeling for a lot of people, but I'm excited for there to be more movies for that.
Yeah, I love the characters too. I love this new duo, this like group that they have in these new movies.
Yeah.
Jacob, of course, is my favorite. Um,
Yeah, Jacob was good. I love that he eventually got his bakery. Um, I love that like Tina didn't give two craps. So it was great. I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm seriously optimistic about what's going on. I'm so happy for it to keep making more movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be really good.
Well, I guess this is the end of the show now.
Yay! We did it.
Thank you for coming on again. Thank you for allowing your presence to be heard on here. One of my favorite queens of the internet.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm so happy that I could be a good John. So
Right.
happy to be here.
Thank you for being my co-host this week, John. I really appreciate that.
Of course, anytime.
You can follow me on Twitter at Director Spy. You can follow John at Tiger and Top Hat, and you can follow Ali at Into Wild Places.
Yay!
And yeah,
We did it.
this has been an Earbud Media production. You can find more shows such as Into the Twilight, Femme as Fuck, Diary of a Mad Muslim, all over the internet. Just go find them. Go absorb yourself in the Earbud Media cinematic universe.
Definitely be a part of our cinematic universe and definitely go listen to our podcast. You will become a better person because of it.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you Ali again for coming on. And yeah, that's it. We did it.